Hey, very good evening to everybody. In today's episode of Growing Your Tree of Prosperity, I'm going to share with everybody a book review, and the title of the book is Take Back Control of Your Money by Dawn Cher or Budget Babe. This is a highly accessible beginner's guide on personal finance. It is broken down into four sections: understand how money works, take back control of your money, invest to build your wealth, and live rich and free. All right, so there are four sections to the book. It can be read in a day or two because it is 222 pages, and the book is relatively cheap at 29.32 at Kinokuniya, inclusive of GST. All right, as the book is targeted at beginners, when I review the book, I will focus on whether it actually meets its objectives, and no attempt will be made to talk about the finer points of investing. All right, because I think that you should read the book to find out what Budget Babe thinks about investing. And the format of my book reviews, I'll be talking about three things that I like about the book, and on one possible area that could have been done better by the author. So you have a very balanced idea on the book's strengths and its weaknesses. So let's dive into this review. Okay, and the first thing that I really like about the book is that it's actually very personal, right? It's very personal. Dawn is a very accessible and approachable author. She exudes a lot of pathos, and some of the paragraphs shed light on her family, what her life was like when she attended university, and what drove her to adopt a particular financial approach after she got married. All right, and we get to know somewhat a little bit about Dawn, and we know that she's highly extroverted and quite open to new experiences. Okay, and this is very important because personal finance content creators like myself, we do struggle to engage female audiences. 92% of the people who actually watch these videos have a tendency to be male, right? I like to point out for women that they might probably enjoy chapter 9. It reads a little bit like the rant in the Barbie movie that is highly lauded, all right, which I think a lot of married women can relate to. Although frankly, as a male financial blogger, I can't really relate to that section very much. All right, but let me know what you think. All right, when you read chapter 9. Okay. The second point that I like a lot is that Dawn doesn't pull any punches against financial institutions and commission salespeople. So it's very clear that this book distinguishes itself from the usual self-serving, self-published works from insurance salespeople. All right, when you go to a bookstore, when you see a book like that, the person is clearly on the front cover of the page because the book is also used as some kind of personal branding exercise. You find that these books also have very large fonts, okay, and they also tend to talk about teamwork, motivation, right? Yeah, those books are a waste of your money, okay. Dawn's book is not like that. In fact, it pulls no punches when she talks about commissions, the problems with investment link policy products, ILPs. Okay, and she also emphasizes a lot on the importance on managing your investment expenses. All right. Dawn's stand is very clear about why costs and expenses need to be put under control. I think that is a very important point that I think a lot of good finance books should emphasize, because I think the problem in Singapore is that we put too much money into these salespeople's pockets via commissions. All right. Yeah, and I do note that it's quite difficult for Dawn to do this because it can potentially jeopardize sponsorship opportunities. All right, so that's something which I've taken note of. All right, but nevertheless, this book is honest. It is brutally honest, and it's also a lot more practical for people to really understand. What are the real issues with personal finance in Singapore. All right, within this context. And finally, the book is practical even for subject matter experts. There are two areas that benefited me a lot. One is a reminder that I can squeeze in and earn extra cash from high yielding savings accounts or HISAs, right? Which I thought I couldn't benefit from. Okay, but actually, I've never really exposed myself to these accounts because they only came about only after I left the workforce. right? I'll be thinking of ways to see how far I can go and what kind of interest I can get, even though I don't have a regular monthly salary. Okay, one of my personal favorites in her book is Dawn's breakdown of her software subscriptions, which is the bane of content creators, and it allows me to actually compare the expenses as well as the suite of software that I have against hers, right? So that's very, very useful, okay, because she also demonstrates to a reader how you can prune these subscriptions, right? Which is becoming thousands of dollars every year, all right? So something that you want to think about. Yeah, also through this book, I learned what a Mobi app is, all right? So this is very useful even for people who consider themselves subject matter experts, right? Now, what could have been done better? Okay, I find that a 222 page book on personal finance targeted for beginners, the book attempts to do a little bit too much in the investment section. So in the third part of her book, Dawn tries to cover all the bases. So she includes value investing, cryptocurrency. There is some mention on derivatives and options. It feels thinly spread out, right? It's too spread out. Okay, in my view, I think she should just have focused on the 60-40 portfolio, right? But she should have placed a little bit more emphasis on implementation, all right, and how to withdraw your money and your funds. This would have been a better move, all right? Just focus on the 60-40 portfolio, okay? And if there's any excess space in the book, there should be a dedicated section on CPF, right? Because, you know, Singaporeans, so much of our money is tied to CPF. There should be a better discussion on that, all right? Okay. And of course, you know, if Dawn wants to do a dedicated investment guide, she could always publish a second book to burnish her personal brand. All right. So this is what I think could have been done better. All right. So in summary, Take Back Control of Your Money. It's a good book for beginners. Folks should buy and read the book ASAP because finance books do have a shelf life before the material does get obsoleted by trends, you know, and policy changes. If you like my material, you can subscribe to this channel. If you want to listen to my life story, you can Google ERM intro, take the first link, and come for my next early retirement masterclass preview. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.